let's talk about why YouTube feels like brain rot now. Why do you go onto YouTube and you just scroll endlessly and then it doesn't even feel like you've learned anything, or you don't even retain any information from the videos? And I'm not talking about like the actual just meme pages and just actual brain rot. I mean like even the education space of like entrepreneurial education or just educational videos. They kind of feel like brain rot too. I watch people like Alex Hormozy. I used to watch them a lot more. People like Alex Hormozy. I don't know who's some other ones. Graham Stephan is one I used to watch. Just the people in that kind of space. I know there's like Iman Godzi, and a lot of them. Grant Cardone. So there's it kind of feels like that every single video now is like brain rot, and you just watch it and then you don't really retain the information. And so I wanted to cover why it feels like that right now. So I guess this kind of talk about a YouTube education. I remember back a couple years ago, it used to be like a badge of honor to say that I was self-taught, or I learned everything on YouTube. But now it's almost like I feel myself like kind of not wanting to say that. Like I want to be like more professional than that, and it feels a little bit weird to say that you learned everything on YouTube. And so I don't know if anyone else noticed that, but I definitely felt that. YouTube just feels a lot more just like entertainment, really, even the educational content. And so I'm going to explain why that is. So basically, fundamentally, it's because algorithms are driven by human nature. And let me just draw a graph for you guys here. So algorithms are driven by humans wanting dopamine, right? They want these little, they want videos that like are exciting to watch, or they give them a high or something, right? And so they want to have these guys. Look, this is my from the last video. They want videos that really just give them a spike of dopamine. And so the algorithms are going to push content that give people dopamine over any other content. Okay, the content that has the most like dopamine engaged content, that's the content that the algorithm is going to push. And what dopamine is basically subconscious emotions. Okay, dopamine is a more subconscious chemical, and it's kind of like, I think you know what dopamine is by now, but it's basically your pain and pleasure molecule, or your motivation molecule, and it is very like subconscious. It's not, you can't like think, okay, I want some dopamine, right? You can't do that. And so it's a subconscious chemical, and it also helps to, it also like, it's a very like it's emotionally tied, or it's tied to our emotions. And so let me just finish drawing this here really quick. Sorry guys. Let's see. So we got the happy guy here and the sad guy here. So this is basically what the algorithm looks like. So it's always content up here or or down here, right? That's the content that's going to get the most clicks and the most like reach on the algorithm. And so if you can imagine, like, let's say this is all the content that has to do with let's just say entrepreneurship, right? Pretty good topic. Entrepreneurship. This is all the range of content that has to do with entrepreneurship. There are some pieces of content that give you really like happy feelings, like entrepreneurship is how you escape your 9-to-5 and give you financial freedom, right? That would be something up here. Or entrepreneurship is about grinding, giving up all your things that you like, and just like going deep. And that's one of these kind of right here. It's not necessarily a bad piece of content, but in terms of like the emotional kind of zeitgeist, then it's more of a It's more of a negative emotion, or a lack of emotion, I guess you could say. And so, anyway, so the algorithm is going to push content that falls mostly on the tops and bottoms. So all these are little pieces of content down here. It's mostly going to push content that fall into these areas. One way I like to look at it is like, this is the content of the people that say, you know, go monk mode, or just like grind and don't stop, you know, keep knocking on doors. So that's like the Alex Hormozy types. And up here is like the people that are like, dream big, you can do it, it's so like, it's freedom, all that stuff. And it's also like the cool cars and the fancy vacations. That's what this content is. And so anyway, but here's the thing. This is, in order to understand and master entrepreneurship, you have to know entrepreneurship. And so you also have to know the concepts in the middle. Okay, so all the concepts in the middle, they talk about like things that you need to know, like some finance stuff, economic stuff, just the boring kind of work that you have to do, managing a team, all that kind of stuff. Not that teams are boring, but like all this, there's stuff all around here that you have to learn in order to manage entrepreneurship. But the algorithm is only going to feed you the stuff on the tops and bottoms, the stuff with the most emotionally sticky content. So all this stuff in the middle, you're going to miss out on if you're only relying on the algorithm to get your education. You're missing out on all of this stuff that's still important, that needs to be learned in order to understand entrepreneurship. And so if you're one of those people who you just always watch YouTube, you watch just whatever the algorithm feeds you, and then you always find yourself not taking action, it's probably because you don't even understand or know all this stuff in the middle that you have to know in order to be a successful entrepreneur. Okay, because you're only consuming the stuff at the tops and bottoms. And so honestly, it feels like you're going up and down. It feels like you're 1 week or 1 month, you're doing really good and you're grinding, and it feels like, oh, I'm making it. But then like the next week comes and you're in the dumps and you're like, man, I'm a failure. Why would I even do this? This is the worst thing ever. And I'm not saying that, you know, you're going to be immune to those emotions. I mean, you're always going to have, you know, fluctuations, because we're all human. So you're always going to have emotional fluctuations. But without this foundation of understanding kind of all of it, I'm not saying you have to stick to the middle. Like, I'm not saying don't watch the videos by Alex Hormozy and for all those people. Like, you can, as long as you know that that's not a full education. And so just have a foundation of the stuff in the middle, because this stuff in the middle is what's going to keep you grounded when the tides rise and fall. Because as we talked about in our last video, then the tides will always rise and fall with the market. The market goes up, goes down, customers spend more in certain seasons and they spend less in other seasons. So yeah, that to me is kind of the biggest reason why the content feels like brain rot, is because it kind of literally is. These two are very subconscious. Okay, these are subconscious stuff. If you've ever read the book A Path Through the Jungle, it's a really amazing book, and everything in the subconscious he talks about as a chimp brain, and that's what it's kind of like. Our subconscious is there to keep us safe and keep us kind of like happy and content. And so the subconscious is looking for those dopamine hits, looking for those satisfaction. But the stuff in the middle is our conscious brain, which is the stuff that we choose, you know, the decisions that we make. It's our human brain is what the book calls it. And the conscious stuff is more this kind of speed, where you're not going crazy up and down. And in reality, the conscious stuff should be all of it. You should be able to choose all of it. But the subconscious is just really drawn like a magnet to these areas. But consciously, you should be smart enough and disciplined enough to also go through the middle area and also watch this content or study these things. Maybe you're not watching videos, maybe you're like looking up the stuff, maybe you're taking a course. That's one thing that I actually do suggest when I with courses over like just watching YouTube, is that a course will go over this stuff too. A good course will go over this boring stuff also, as well as the emotion stuff. And so yeah, that's kind of why. So the content feels like brain rot because, one, you're not getting the full picture of the topic you're trying to learn, and so it's not connecting all the way. You're just getting these like nuggets or whatever. And two, those nuggets that you are getting are just really like exciting for your subconscious brain, but your conscious brain, or your human brain, the part that's really you, that's making those decisions, not the subconscious, which is kind of more automatic, more tied to your body. The conscious part of your brain is not in control. And when your conscious brain is not in control, then you feel like a loser, okay? You feel like brain rot, like your brain has been rotted away. That's really what it comes from, is that your conscious brain is not in control. You're just watching these like algorithm, brain rot, subconsciously driven pieces of content, and you're not actually choosing, well, what about all this stuff in between? What about all these other concepts I need to learn? And it's just not connecting. And so you feel stuck. You feel like you don't know what to do. You feel like you just have a lot of different, ideas in your head, and you don't know how to combine them together. That's why. It's because of the algorithm. It highly, highly, highly prefers stuff in the tops and bottoms, the most clicky, emotional content is the stuff that rises to the top of the algorithm. And so you can't just be, can't get your education from the algorithm. And that is the solution, okay? The solution for you and me to fix this is you can't just rely on the algorithm for your education. What I would recommend is choose a channel that you feel like is really kind of going to go over a lot of different stuff, and follow that channel, subscribe to that channel. I'm talking like YouTube specifically, but subscribe to that channel and watch their stuff. And whenever there's a new video that comes out, watch that video, even if maybe it's not the most like clickbaity video that's going to perform super good. Just say, hey, this video is probably also just as important as the other stuff, because the truth is, no matter how clickbaity it is, the video could be just as important or more important, right? Even though it's boring. And so choose people and subscribe to them, and actually visit your subscriber page, okay? As far as if you're just trying to learn through YouTube, and then also look up courses, like find courses that actually do fill you in on all the stuff. I did an MBA, and it was well worth it. A lot of people say, oh, what's the purpose of college education? You can just learn everything online for free. But that MBA, bro, that was like all the boring stuff. Okay, and it was really useful. It was really helpful. It filled in a lot of gaps in my understanding. So that was what I would say is a solution for all of us entrepreneurs. A solution for big tech. So I don't want to like go out, predicting stuff, but what I actually think is, I think everybody is going to get tired of all the brain rot stuff, and I think big tech is going to have to start kind of mixing in features on their apps that like kind of don't have brain rot, you know what I mean? So they might start prioritizing a course on YouTube, like a channel. They might start prioritizing the subscriber feed, and so that people don't just get stuck in the brain rot and don't just like hate their life. So anyway, that's kind of what I have for today. I hope this all made sense. I hope it's not too confusing, but that's all I had for today, and thank you for watching.